Hello, everybody. How are we doing today? How are we doing? Hi, guys. Hello. Um, what is up? I have a feeling that for today, I'm probably going to be talking to the air, and I will explain in detail why. Because some changes have been made. Sincere apologies for not making it yesterday, for yesterday's stream. I wasn't feeling it. My vibes were off. Full transparency. My vibes were off. I was just not into it. I was kind of going through stuff mentally that I will be talking about today, but I am excited right now to kind of record this live and go over some things that are on my mind. Unfortunately, I don't think that I will be able to let everybody know on TikTok when I am live anymore, and I will explain why. But yeah, this week has been pretty chill. I hope you guys this week have been going well. I have been busy applying for jobs, watching a buttload of horror movies. Some that I actually have to rewatch again because I didn't understand the ending of them. And reading and just kind of enjoying my time being unemployed. I am back to eating healthy again. So at the end of my round of healthy eating, at the end of it, I celebrated by making myself some fried seafood and some cookies. And my body did not respond well to the fried seafood or the cookies. Or my body responded well to the cookies. Body did not respond well to the fried seafood. And so I've been just bouncing back on my diet again. And it's hard, not because, not because, um, I'm not eating enough. I'm eating more than enough. It's just I hate the food I'm eating. It's just protein, carb, vegetable, protein, carb, fat. That's it. Protein, carb, vegetable, protein, carb, healthy fat. It's no in between. Sometimes it's just protein, vegetable. That's it. But I'm still eating enough calories and I'm eating enough protein and I'm hitting my macros. I've upped my protein to 140 grams and already my body's ugh. So I don't know. I've just been craving unhealthy food lately. So I gotta stay on straight and narrow and not crave unhealthy food. Ultimately, so I don't develop bad habits. I've had a really bad relationship with Uber Eats where I would just eat out every other day, and that's a really bad habit to have. So, and it almost, I would argue, formed into some semblance of an addiction. So, I have been, I have been, just getting back on track. Um, I've just, I've just been getting back on track to my healthy eating and just making sure that I'm eating a lot enough vegetables, enough protein, and all of that. So yeah, it's tough because sometimes I just don't want to eat that much, or I just want to eat a burger, like a greasy burger. But I can't do that all the time. So I'm just taking it a day by day, one day at a time, and hopefully I'll get to the point where I no longer desire um, unhealthy food either, where I just only want to eat vegetables and protein and healthy carbs. So we'll see. We'll see in the future. But yeah, that's how things have been going with me. I hope things have been going well with you guys. This week has been a doozy. It's been crazy, huh? A lot of shit has been going down. A lot of shit has been going down. We'll talk about it. I will kind of keep you guys posted on how I'm feeling, but I don't know. It just seemed like a lot for me to cover yesterday that I just took a break and decided that I would actually not be tuned in for the live stream this past Saturday. So, but I'm here now. Among other things, let's see, some random fleeting topics that are on my mind. I think one thing that I've noticed as of lately, um, being a consumer of social media and of reality TV, and just yapping to yap and have some sort of icebreaker, I was thinking about Brittany Renner and India Love Westbrook. And the reason why I was thinking about India Love Westbrook and Brittany Renner is because they've been circulating a bit, I guess. I don't really know. I just know that they are like the grade A #1 like IG baddies. And technically are still relevant if someone like myself is still talking about them. But I was just thinking about like how is like IG baddies and e-girls and the lot have like lost their power in a way. And let me explain. Okay. What I mean is that we went from simps literally giving money to and giving all their time, money, attention, and energy to someone like a Brittany Renner, an India Love Westbrook, your favorite e-girl, your favorite Twitch streamer baddie, your favorite baddie in general, right? We went from that in like 2015 to 2025 now, where those same simps are no longer interested in like chasing the baddies, right? Red pill content and all of that is telling them being a simp is weak and all that. But then the same dudes who pop their pussies in the DMs of these e-girls and insta baddies and all of that, right? Are popping their pussy in the group chats of these fake alpha bro, dude bro podcaster, Twitch streamer bros who wouldn't really piss on you if you were on fire low key. You know what I mean? So I was listening to a TikTok of a dude talk about how he knew India Love Westbrook when she was in high school and how she had all the options in the world. She was the it girl. She was the most popular thing ever. She was on Instagram. She could date any, like he said that his friend used to date her, right? She had a reality TV show, and it really looked like she was gonna be like the Black Kim Kardashian of the social media space. That's what it looked like. And then something happened with her reality TV show where it no longer worked. And then somewhere down the line, I just stopped hearing about India Love Westbrook, right? And he was basically saying how she went from having like so many options in the world because she was like this popular it girl that guys constantly gave their attention for, to like in a way becoming some sort of pick me, where she was fighting for the attention of these new and up and coming like uh, social media bros, right? Like capping or supporting DDG during the whole divorce debacle, and like literal sound bites of her saying stuff like, a girl turns 18 every day, right? So she went from being the girl that was getting picked all the time to inevitably becoming a pick me because she's constantly chasing after these dudes who are like probably like 5, 10 years younger than her, who probably don't even like her to begin with, and is literally competing with girls 10 years her younger. And I just thought that was very interesting, you know what I mean? Because for someone like India Love Westbrook and someone like a Brittany Renner is also a great example because she just ended her relationship with Kevin Gates, and she did a whole Muslim rebrand for Kevin Gates. A Muslim rebrand for this nigga, right? Because he's Muslim. Like, could have fooled me because, you know, everything that I know about Kevin Gates is like him being explicit and vulgar and inappropriate as fuck, but that's not even there. And she did this religious rebrand for this man, had this man parade her around on live streams with like a whole hijab, all of that, right? Dressed in Muslim attire head to toe. The relationship doesn't work out, and she's like, take off the hijab, I'm not Muslim anymore. And I'm just like, damn, that dude really played you for a fool. Like, he really was out here giving you false promises of love and relationship that you were willing to change your whole religion for this nigga. Meanwhile, like 2 years ago, you were on like the Shannon Sharp podcast pre race play alleged assault debacle, right? Where you were getting interviewed by him. You were doing like a whole podcast tour, really aligning yourself with not so much the advice on like putting women on game, but like it looked like she was aligning herself with the advice of like letting men in on how the game works, I guess, with women, right? Because it didn't just stop with Shannon Sharp. She'd also speak to basketball teams and talk about how they should be careful about women who are after their money. She was on a podcast with Andrew Tate, of all people. I don't know how that relationship worked out. Just like really weird, like branding decisions. And now to fast forward to now, I think she has a podcast, and I still think she's doing like the gender debate BS, which, girl, it's so tired. It's so tired. And she's still on Basketball Wives. But I observed those two women, right? Because they were like the cream of the crop IG baddies. Cream of the crop A-list IG baddies. Like, if Bernice Burgos is the LeBron James of IG baddies, Brittany Renner and India Love Westbrook are like, I don't know. I don't play basketball. I don't know basketball people, but like, I don't know. What, Steph Curry? Steph Curry of the IG baddies? Like, in my opinion, that's what I saw them as, like the Steph Curry of the IG baddies. Like, I was expecting them, like, after they transition their way out of being IG baddies, that they would like get into like this, you know, lifestyle and wellness, health coach, self-help coaching. Although I don't agree with self-help coaching, especially online, especially with the growth that everybody's doing now, it just felt like that would be the next step for them. But neither one of them did that, and instead they are still chasing after dudes that wouldn't give them the time of day. And I don't know, it was just really interesting because it's like, you know, people are talking. I'm talking about her. I'm talking about Brittany, and I'm talking about India Love Westbrook, and they're getting attention, right? Obviously, but it's like, at what cost? Like, you look desperate. You look thirsty for like attention, and it's embarrassing to see that like you change up your whole brand, where from the outside looking in we think it's genuine, only for us to find out that, you know, you're doing a whole religious rebrand in hope for a man to wipe you up, and he doesn't. A rapper, mind you, to wipe you up. You know, not even like a billionaire out in Dubai somewhere, like a rapper. You know, not even like a basketball player or a football, like a football player. You know, like out in like the UK type shit, like World Cup goal. No, like a rapper. You're doing this whole rebrand for a rapper who is very sexually explicit and very vulgar. So I don't know. I'm not a Muslim, but like, I don't know if that like lines up with. I just don't know if that lines up with what like what he raps about lines up with his beliefs. That's neither here nor there. You know, I'm not here to judge folks and their beliefs and all that. But I'm just like, you're like, it's embarrassing to see, because these, like, I remember Brittany Renner was in her car literally roasting these dudes, saying that she was a man eater and she was out for their money. She, of all people, should have been the sprinkle lady. If not the sprinkle lady, sprinkle adjacent. She should have been grifting and putting all these girls on the game about how these niggas be doing her, and like how it's not even worth it. Like, there was a bag to be had in giving hetero pessimistic advice aimed towards women. but instead she gave that same advice, sort of aimed towards men. And every podcast she was on, it seemed like the men were embarrassing her or trying to humble her. Even now, India Love Westbrook over here chasing someone like DDG, and it's like, girly pop, what are you doing? Like, at this point, we should have started businesses. Maybe she did start a business. At this point, we should have been on a reality TV show. Or, like, we started the reality TV show or started a YouTube channel or anything. And I think about those girls and, like, how their Instagram careers ended up. And then I think of the girls like Jada Wada and Ari Fletcher and how much hate they get for being single baby mamas to rappers. But when you really think about those girls, first of all, I have a lot of opinions about Jada Wada and Ari Fletcher. I personally don't mind them at all. I think that, hello, first time chat. Is this a Vids? Yes, it's a Vids. Hi, Kush Gems. I talk about pop culture and rambling, so welcome. Thanks for joining. And so anyway, talking about Ari Fletcher and Jada Wada really quickly. Hi Cole. Thanks for catching my live stream, girl. Cole, we're talking about Brittany Renner and India Love Westbrook, and I'm gonna compare them to Ari Fletcher and Jada Wada real quickly because I feel like India Love Westbrook and Brittany Renner were the OG Instagram baddies that really had a path set up for them to not embarrass themselves yet, and still they're still like doing like they're embarrassing themselves in a way where they're performing pick me behaviors for men who wouldn't piss on them if they were on fire. And so a lot of people, like, I was expecting them to Oprah upset. Yeah, okay, girl. I was expecting people to like I was expecting them to move in the same way that Jada Wada and Ari Fletcher move. Okay. And what I mean by that is when I look at Jada Wada and Ari Fletcher, like, first of all, the Black community absolutely hates them because of what they represent. Because they are single baby mamas who got pregnant by rappers and were able to make a lucrative life for themselves. And like the respectability political Black people, right? They do not like that shit at all. They do not like that. All right. Like, how dare this Black woman? So which one you more prefer? I don't understand that question, Kush Gems. So, but let me cook on my statement. How dare these two Black women be able to get it from the mud after being, plucked by these rappers and having their kids? Like, that's not what are we promoting? And the youth, right? Mind you, we spent a whole decade before then gassing up the Kardashians, Kylie Jenner, Khloe Kardashian, Kim K, and her whole slew of and roster of men that she went through. Like, we sat and we gassed that up for years, supporting them. To this day, still buying that cheap ass looking Skims line, right? Like, it looked cheap. Remember that cheetah print line that she came out with? The Skims and Versace? That shit, those cheetah print long johns, shit looks cheap as fuck. It doesn't matter how you style it. It just looks cheap, okay? Meanwhile, we're gassing that up, right? And then you have someone like a Jada Wada and Ari Fletcher who does the same thing, who are very business minded, who start clothing lines, who start skincare lines. Ari Fletcher has a YouTube channel. Jada Wada is kind of like an ATL socialite, and like people shit on them. And they're like, oh, well, they're bad for the youth. They're sitting up here telling the youth that if they screw around with a rapper and get a baby from them, they can have the same life that they do. And I just don't understand it. And it's like, how did you not see that coming, though? You know what I mean? And if anything, I would much rather have someone like Ari Fletcher and Jada Wada be able to make something of their situation instead of ending up like a Brittany Renner or an India Love Westbrook constantly chasing after dudes 10 years younger than them in hopes that they'll give them a time of day and try to compete with the new and upcoming IG baddies that are currently in the roster right now. Like, I think that's weird. I remember when Jada Wada released her lip kit, and I was about to buy it because I was like, what's wrong with her lip kit? What was it? Is it Yanni Beauty? Is that what it is? Is this it? Is this her lip kit? No. Okay, girl. Well, she was about to release a lip kit, Luscious Dreams. No, girl. She okay. I don't know what happened with the lip kit, but she was about to release a lip kit. I guess it fell flat. Everyone was like, "Oh, she's scamming the black community. She shouldn't do something like this." Wah wah wah. And it's like y'all sat up there for like years buying that cheap ass, dry ass, crusty as fuck, skin flaking off type of lipstick from Kylie Jenner, and there were no complaints. And I'm not saying either one is like better or we should support one over the other. I'm just saying like there's always a root to a problem. It's always a symptom to the main disease. Okay, you know what I mean? Like Ari Fletcher and Jada Waiter are the symptoms. They are not like the problem or the disease. The disease is when you let a bunch of white women sit up here with fake asses and don black aesthetics and make a whole brand off of that, only for like some 10-15 years later for them to do a whole Caucasian rebrand and let y'all know that they're actually white. That was the disease when y'all let that shit happen, when y'all hype that shit up. But like that's neither here nor there. But I don't know. I was just expecting India Love Westbrook and Brittany Renner to do that. You know, I was expecting Brittany Renner to like be on YouTube 4 hours straight talking about how men suck and having her own version of Sprinkle Sprinkle. I was expecting India Love Westbrook to have her own business, have her own show, have her own YouTube channel, not going on podcasts talking about how she need to keep her looks up so that she can fiend after 25-year-old boys. Like, like that's what I was expecting, low key. But like, you know, yeah. And I feel like in general, like for the dudes out here who are like, I'm not gonna give an IG baddie my money, I'm not gonna give an OF girl my money, I'm not gonna give a Twitch streamer girl my money, I'm not gonna give them any of my money. At the very least, what you get out of giving those girls money is that at least they're hot and they're attractive to look at, and maybe they'll acknowledge you on stream or whatever, right? These dudes that you constantly give money to, that are like popping your bussy in their DMs left and right? Out here being messy AF, okay? Just messy, right? Are reminding you how rich they are off of the $5.99 to $9.99 a month subscription you give them every single month, okay? They are reminding you that they're wealthy. They get to ride on an $80,000 jet, okay? And you get to stay home broke, twerking your ass in their group chat on their live stream. A pretty girl wouldn't do that. I'm just saying. They're over here stirring up anger inside of you and hatred, and DJ Academics is over here like grooming. Ooh, I shouldn't name drop, but I'm small enough so I don't think he's gonna pay attention. DJ Academics is over here grooming a whole league of 14-year-olds on his Discord about facts that he can't even get straight. Out here arguing left and right with female rappers. DDG over here telling you how he spent $80,000 on a jet and he's rich, and you over here making him wealthy. You broke. You $5.99, $9.99 broker, and he's over here living a life nice and lavish, and you're just letting him run amok, and you're just popping your pussy in his DMs in his chat, hoping that senpai would notice you. Like I find that interesting. I think the order of the internet has lost its it's backwards. The order is backwards. Okay, we have lost our way. We need to go back to, you know, not really, maybe not simping for like e-girls, but like at the very least, if you simp for an e-girl, right, she will acknowledge your presence. If you give $5.99 a month to an OF girl, she's gonna give you some videos and some photos and some pay-per-view and whatever. You give $5.99 a month to a dude who says that he spent $80,000. He spent what he spent on a jet ride is more than what you make in a year, and all you get to do is like, yeah, you get him, bro. Yeah, that's my dog. That's my dog. Yeah, that's your dog and you're broke. Like, girl, please. Do these dudes even do like meetups at least, or like live shows? I don't know, girl. I I just be thinking about it. I think we've lost our way a little bit. Lost our way a little bit. So anyway, now that I've let that off my chest, let's get started, okay? I don't want to take too long on this because I really want to cook on the later half of what I want to talk about, because it's going to be very relevant to what's going on politically. And normally I don't like to talk about, like, when I do talk about politics, it's, you know, I try not to sit on it too much, because if I sit on politics too much, you know, it gets exhausting, and I've kind of come up with some wackadoodle conclusions, okay? So this is the next installment of Hey Exes, What's on Your Mind? As per usual, this is a collection of unhinged thoughts I have had during the past week. This is where I talk about things that I have read, movies that I have watched, series that I'm into, things that I'm just randomly doing, correlations that I've made, things that just randomly pop up during my mind of the week. I create a whole deck on those things, and I talk about them here with y'all. Now, this might change. I might turn this into like a YouTube video for my viewers who don't want to watch live streams. And I also feel like I have to post my face more. Like, I should just post my face more. I don't know. I feel like people want to see my face more than they want to see the deck. Let me know in the chat. Sometimes I have funny moments in the deck, but that's neither here nor there. But right now we're just kind of going with the motions, seeing what works, seeing what doesn't work, and doing what needs to be done. So let's get into it, okay? Let's get into it. All right, so I finished the new X-Men, okay? Last week I was reading the new X-Men with the book Our Wives Under the Sea. I finished Our Wives Under the Sea early, and so I had most of the week to kind of wrap up the rest of the new X-Men. And unfortunately, I was just reading that. I didn't have a book that I was reading in parallel to that just yet, because I really wanted to plow through the new X-Men series that was created in like 2000, that was written by Grant Morrison. I will say, in all honesty, this new X-Men series was great. I need to get the second volume because it was that good. But it really gave me a good understanding on different characters, their motivation. I really like the arc Beast had, especially in relationship to the big bad of this series, Cassandra Nova. I liked the dynamic of Scott Summers and Jean Grey. Scott Summers is Cyclops, and like their whole relationship being on the rocks, and Scott Summers kind of toying with this idea of being like, you know, the well-to-do superhero who has his shit together but secretly doesn't have it all together, and compromising the relationship he has with Jean Grey. I especially love Emma Frost, and let me tell you something. When I was younger, I liked Emma Frost because I liked how she looked. She had the cuntiest outfits, girl. Okay, she had the cuntiest outfits. The cuntiest of cuntiest outfits out there. Before Marvel Rivals and those atrocious X rhinestone boots, she was just given, she was serving cunt. She was serving cunt left and right. Let me just put this into perspective for y'all, okay? Let me just show you guys what I mean. Okay, look at this. Because who wears a corset and underwear and thigh-high boots and gloves? Like, who does that? Who does that in a furry cloak? Okay? And this is when I was like 15, and I was like, oh my god, she's such a diva. Look at all the fashion. Look at all the fashion. Look at this. Look at this. Look me in my eyes and tell me she doesn't slay. Corset, underwear, boots, furry cape, crop shorts, crop shirt, fingerless glove, boots with a subtle X symbol. Okay, I like me a subtle X symbol. I don't like my X symbol so blatant and obnoxious like in Marvel Rivals. White pants that are also boots. Explain that to me. The pants go into becoming boots. Explain that to me, okay? And then we got a cloak connected connected to a crop shirt with gloves. Okay, like I'm sorry, she was serving cut the whole entire time. Okay, she was serving cut the whole entire time. Okay, the whole entire, like, just all the time, just serving it, serving it, serving it. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care if everybody thinks that she's weak or she's not strong enough or she could do better, or like, because she's very much so like a tactical. She's not really like a fighter as much as she's, you know, entering into people's minds and altering their viewpoints and whatever. But like, oh my god, she is that bitch, and I love her down. And she was always gonna be my favorite X-Men next to Storm. Okay, Emma Frost was great in this, and it really reminded me why I liked X-Men, why I liked Emma Frost, why she was probably one of my favorite X-Men, and you know, why her character is so interesting. She's just such a diva. I like me some divas, you know. I also liked in the back of this comic that they had some pencils of some of the drawings that were implemented into the comic, and then also the script as well, to show, I guess, Grant Morrison's thought process. That's really cool from like a comic book writer standpoint, or like if you're into comics, just to see how people write their scripts, and how you can translate that into the actual drawing. So really love this comic. Really awesome, really cool stuff. All right, so what I'm reading now is Sorrowland. So I mentioned how I was still reading Sorrowland last week, and I had just started it. I am about, I want to say 143 pages into it. This book is like 355 pages. I plan on finishing it next week, probably. It's a good book. It's a good book. I'm not gonna lie. I love it. I love it. It's really interesting. It has great pacing. I love the introspection that it has on like both opposite ends of the spectrum. So this book is about a girl who is running away from a religious cult where she was raised, and this religious cult is very like focused on, oh, my controller. Yikes. Sorry about that. 1 second, guys. So this religious cult is like focused on like Pan-Africanism, I guess is a good way to put it. So like Dr. Umar on crack. And so they don't like anything of the outside world. They're isolated. They make their own food. They make their own clothes. They educate themselves and all of that. And they're very much so living off of the land because they think anything outside of the land is like the white man's crap, right? So, and she's trying to escape this cult because obviously it's corrupted, and she's pregnant, so she has these kids, and she is living in the woods, but she's trying to meet up with her friend who also escaped. I like the queer codedness of this book. There are some like instances where you could tell that the character is clearly a queer woman. I like her yearning for her friend Lucy, but I also like the bigger commentary they make about like cults and like mob mentalities, especially when it comes to like going too far in one direction. For example, like I said, this cult is basically Pan-Africanism on crack. You know, what that looks like and how it manifests, and also addressing the issues with that, like the misogynoir that can entail. Not to spoil too much, but the main character's name is Vern. I think she is albino. The author makes an effort at the beginning of the book to let us know that she's albino. I think there's a reason for that later on in the novel, but she's albino. But she has to marry her leader, her cult leader, or they call him the Reverend, at like 15 years old, because when she tries to escape the cult, she gets picked up by a police officer who basically takes advantage of her. And it, like, she's 15, you know what I mean? So I don't know, it's just very interesting in talking about like what happens when you're all on like too far on the opposite side of one spectrum, and what that looks like, and how it can be toxic when you don't address the introspections of it all. So I definitely recommend this book. Also, there's like a secret going on. Like, she's going through changes. I don't know what those changes are because I'm only on 142 and there's 350 pages. But I plan on blasting through this week and getting it done so I can have like a full, like, collected, series of thoughts about how I feel about the book. But overall, it's very good. I've been wanting to get into Black Southern Gothic books, and when I was on TikTok, I saw that this was recommended a ton for Black Southern Gothics. So I'm just getting into it. Like where it's going so far, like the writing. There's a bunch of punchy one-liners that I like in this one. That I think are just so catchy. And I never highlighted them, but I will go back in and highlight them. But just very, very good book, very well written. I'm also on book 6 of The Paper Girls. I have my books with me right now. So yeah, I am on book 6 of The Paper Girls. And so for those of y'all who don't know, I've read this book. I've read this comic before. It's written by the same dude who made Saga, I believe. And I love me some Saga. Image Comics be coming out with some bangers. I always liked Image Comics because they're so experimental with the type of stories that they tell. Image Comics also published Invincible, and now that's a series. But I am reading Paper Girls right now, volume 6, because I've read most of the other Paper Girls, and I believe that this is the very last volume, and they didn't make any more. I also did not know that Paper Girls was a series in 2022, and then it got canceled, but it did very well. It only had one season, which sucks because, if you like Stranger Things and Kids on Bikes and like science fiction, cosmic horror type stuff, I feel like you would rock with Paper Girls heavy. But I don't know, it's just like super unfortunate. I always like the Kids on Bikes trope where all the kids are riding on bikes and dicking around, you know what I mean? So it just sucks that we can't see more of that, I guess. But yeah, I wish they could have continued the series. A part of me feels like this novel did well in like the 2015s because in 2015 and 2016 because Stranger Things was really popular back then, and they kind of brought back like the kids on bike trope with Stranger Things, and you had It, which was set in the 90s. I believe it was set in the 90s. Either the 90s or the 50s, girls. I don't know. Kids were on bikes on the It series, right? And they redid or rebooted that series again. And so Paper Girls felt like that, but I feel like by 2022 we were kind of like fatigued by that. Like we didn't want to see any more kids on bikes anymore. And so maybe that's why the series fell apart. But hey, I really got to catch up, summarize what's going on, and finish this series. I actually forgot a lot about what happened in this series, low key, like because I read like all of Paper Girls in like 2019, 2020, so it's like 5 years getting back into this. So we'll see how it goes. I'll let y'all know how this novel turns out for me, this graphic novel turns out for me. And yeah. Well, I'll just keep y'all posted because there's a lot that I forgot. This diva right here, I would risk it all for Miss Mams right here. I would risk it all for her. I think she's the only Woola here. The Woola, the gay girl here, you know. Anyway, let's move on. All right, girl. When I tell you I have been watching some horror movies. I have been watching horror movies unfazed, not that scared, not that creeped out, and just to having a funky old time right now. Like, just having a really fun time with all of the horror movies that I've consumed. So this week I watched Night of the Demons, and I only watched Night of the Demons because apparently there was this goth dancing scene that like the goth culture really likes. So I was like, I want to watch it. I want to see what it's like, and that scene is really dope. Night of the Demons isn't that scary though. It's kind of goofy AF. It's like a 1980s slasher horror where the effects aren't that good, and it's like it feels like a 2B movie more or less, but I appreciate the ambition and the effort. I like this goth baddie dancing, so I watched it. It was okay. It was kind of goofy, but that's fine. I watched Blumhouse's Wolfman, and it was all right. I thought the effects of him like changing from the Wolfman to like his wife talking to him while he's trying to talk to his wife, and it would switch from like him interpreting what his wife is saying versus like what his wife is saying to him, and how like he's going through the transformation of being a Wolfman. I thought that was pretty cool. But I don't know. I feel like Blumhouse is like the Tyler Perry for horror movies. I do. That's my humble opinion. I feel like sometimes they really get it on the nose and they do some really good movies, and then sometimes it's just like, girl, you can take a break. Like, you can go back to the vault and you can really think through what type of story you're trying to tell with your horror movie. But regardless, it was a fun little movie. Did not like the Wolfman's transformation. This is like werewolf, you know what I mean? Like OG monster. Didn't really like his transformation that much. It still gave very much so like human, and I wanted more werewolf. Like, I want more Wolfman, you know. I don't know. Maybe the furry in me is just like into that type of stuff. I don't know. Like, I wanted more Wolfman, but like actual like furry like creature. You know what I mean? Like Beast from X-Men. Did I not tell y'all that I actually would date Beast from X-Men? In the comic, he says that he's gay, but like, I mean, look at him. He's cute. I could throw it in a circle for Beast. Okay, maybe not that one, but like this one, yes, I could. I could. Like, if he asked me out on a date and we had really good conversations, I could see myself dating him. Anyway, moving on. But the Wolfman transformations were not that good. See, I thought I was gonna get Beast, like more like furry, and instead I got, I don't know, like naked bald werewolf, and I wasn't into that. But it was a fun movie to watch. It was an interesting little movie, with an interesting twist at the end. Predictable, but that I don't really expect much for Blumhouse films. I watched The Faculty too. Did not know that Usher was in this movie, and I only watched this because I saw a clip on TikTok of The Faculty where they're all like snuffing the stuff, right? Like, they're like trying to get themselves, you know, high, and they sniff the the chemicals, I guess. They all do it. And this movie is about the faculty starting an alien invasion, and so they like invade the teachers in this high school, so that they can kind of take over the town, I guess. And these teenagers gather together to like to keep it from happening, you know. It's, you know, it's a sci-fi 2000s horror. The effects are not that good. I'm not gonna lie to you. The effects are not that good. There was one practical effect I really like where she's like ripping off her scalp, and it like looks like ooze, and I'm like, ooh, that was pretty cool. But for the most part, it's like an early 2000s horror movie. It really don't got much going on for itself. But I had a fun time watching it. It was fun. It was interesting. So, I'm not gonna lie to you. I felt like the ending was rushed, but also I was like doing other stuff while the ending was happening, and there was like, I was watching it here on my PC, and there was like a glare from the sun, and I was watching it on like my furthest monitor, so I couldn't really see how it ended. All I know is that there was a betrayal, and then it ended, but I don't know what exactly happened, how they like killed the alien monster. So, but I'm gonna have to rewatch this again. It wasn't bad, but it, it was camp. It was a moment. So I don't know, girl. If you're into that type of stuff, I would watch it. Nosferatu and the Witch. Okay, I had no idea that Robert Eggers was the one who directed both of these movies. Like, I had no idea at all because that he directed The Witch, Nosferatu, and The Lighthouse. I did not know. I just knew that every time I would watch his movies, there was a vibe. Like, I'd go in with vibes, and I'd be all the way into it. The Lighthouse had vibes. Personally, I think The Lighthouse was like Robert Pattinson's best work as an actor, and I had never been more attracted. Cinematography. I had never been more attracted to Robert Pattinson than I did when he was in the Lighthouse. Like, not even in Twilight was I attracted to that man, but when I saw him in the Lighthouse, I was like, oh my god, girl, with a little sailor's stash. I was like, oh, Rob, you kind of cute though. I'm not gonna lie. So, and I like that movie. The acting was insane. William Dafoe and Robert Pattinson going like band for band, like amazing. And I didn't know that was Robert Eggers. And then I held off on The Witch because I was afraid it would be too creepy, so I never watched that. But everyone was talking about how Nosferatu is really good, and you need to get into Nosferatu. And Nosferatu it's it, girl. You gotta watch it, and it's so like horny but scary, mind you. When I watched the movie, I didn't really find it like that horny, and I didn't really find it that scary. I found it creepy, but something that really caught me was how beautiful the cinematography was. Just very beautiful. Fully agree with you on Pattinson's best work. The stash worked well for me, had me hot. Yes, he looked hot with that mustache. I was like, oh my god, why didn't they put a mustache on you in Twilight? Probably to make him look younger, but and I don't know. It seems like with Kristen Pattinson, or I'm sorry, it seems with Kristen Stewart and Robert Pattinson, they really like thrived as actors and like got hotter after Twilight. But when I watched them in Twilight, I was like, girl, I am not attracted to any of y'all. I'm not even having a bi panic right now. Like, I'm just like, get off of my screen. None of you pale ass white people. None of you guys are hot. But let me just show you guys this real quick. Here are some images from Nosferatu. Ignore this, but I just think this is, oh no, damn. I just think the cinematography in this movie was so good in Nosferatu, and like the ending was so beautiful. It was haunting, it was beautiful, and I loved it. And I'm probably gonna watch Nosferatu again. It's probably gonna go up there with one of my favorite movies, and I actually might draw some like composition pieces or like study the composition from Nosferatu because I just think it's so beautiful and so interesting, and just so haunting, and not as creepy as everyone told me it was gonna be. Everyone was like, "Oh my god, girl, it's so scary," and Nosferatu is creepy AF, and you know I was scared, girl, and I watched this in the theater, and I'm like, girl, I'm not scared. I had my little like truffle fries. I ate at it was like one of those dine-in theaters, so I had like some truffle fries and a burger and a drink, and I was like, oh my god, this is nice. Lily Rose Depp did a phenomenal job in this movie, though. She really did her big one in this one. She acted so well. And then Bill Skarsgård, he is such a scream queen. Can we talk about it? He's such a scream queen. He was the it clown. He did a good job too. And I think this is the dude from The Menu. He did well. And then The Witch, with, oh god, I forgot her name. girl, I forgot what is her name. This was before she was like well known too. Let me look her up. Anya Taylor-Joy. Okay, yeah. No, she did a phenomenal job in this movie too. Both of these movies were dope. Both of these movies fit right in that pocket of my weird girl horror genre, especially The Witch. I loved it. I loved it. Not really creepy not really scary and horrific as much as it's just creepy and weird. And I love that. So definitely probably going to be watching these movies again, especially Nosferatu. I really like Nosferatu. But last but not least, y'all, I watched The Substance, and let me tell you something. Let me about The Substance, okay? The Substance was it. Probably one of my other favorite horror movies that I have watched this year. I was hesitant to watch it because I heard about the summary and what happens, and that there's a lot of body horror, and especially towards the end. But I watched it anyway. I was a trooper, and oh my god, that movie was awesome. Demi Moore, first of all, looks stunning. Like, let's talk about it. Like, she looks great for her age. But I think it's the perfect like cast for a woman who's being told she's past her prime and trying to rekindle her career as like this Hollywood workout guru, I guess. And then Margaret Qualley as like her like younger tethered self. I thought excellent. Both of them acted very, very well. I didn't know that Margaret Qualley was in The Maid. I remember watching the Maid series with her, the series about her like struggling as a single mom and the relationship she had with her mother as well. And like fun fact, apparently Margaret Qualley's mom was in that movie, and she's a big name actress, but I forgot her name. I think it's Anna McDowell or something. So that was interesting. But this movie's great. I'm going to give you a summary, and then I'm going to encourage you to go and watch this movie, especially if you're a girl who's into weird horror, especially if you feel pressures of beauty standards among you. So The Substance is about this workout guru named Elizabeth Sparkle, who's gotten her claim to fame from being a workout guru, and I guess in this universe has been able to get a bunch of like brand deals and opportunities based off of this in Hollywood. I'm going to assume that social media does not exist in this universe at all, and so she was very much so doing like the Jane Fonda type of workout. Also, I don't know the name of the lady, but all I know is the Eric Call on Me music video. Like, she was doing shit like this, okay? I don't know who this actress's name is. The workout lady, I don't know what her name is. Pump it up the so she was doing this. This is what Elizabeth Sparkle was doing for like the for the 80s, I guess. And she was able to get like her claim to fame and like money from that and success, right? But she's losing viewership, and the network wants to kind of scrap her for someone younger and hotter. Even though Demi Moore, she looks fine. Like, I would totally work out to Demi Moore if I had to, you know what I mean? And so she's feeling the pressures of her being past her prime. And so she goes to the doctor's office. She gets into a car accident because she sees her billboard being replaced or taken down, basically to show that like she's towards the end of her career. And she's at the doctor's office, and they say that she hasn't had a scratch on her body or any of that. And the nurse says, you know, I know what you need. You're the perfect candidate for this, and gives her The Substance, which is basically this fluid or chemical that spawns another like younger version of herself, younger, hotter version of herself, from her body. And shit ensues after that, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to spoil it too much, but basically there's rules where like she can only be in the younger body for like 7 days, and then they have to switch out, and then she has to feed the younger body like some like food, or the younger body has to feed the older body food. You know what I mean? So it's like a whole thing, and it like talks about like some weird existentialism. It's like having a clone spawn out of your spine, and what that would look like, especially if the clone was younger and hotter and thought they were better than you. Um, Very very interesting movie. I'm watching it again actually, and it's a long movie, but I think I don't know. I like the creative scenes. I think they're intentional, they're experimental. There are some scenes that actually felt like an anime to me, like I was watching an anime movie. Um, but I don't know, like the themes on like toxic beauty standards, maintaining yourself in like mainstream media and Hollywood or entertainment, ageism, like those themes were so on the nose with this movie. And even though the ending was a little bit wild, like the ending was like chaotic AF, I think that it had a lot to say about what a person would do in order to maintain relevancy, in order to stay relevant in mainstream media and Hollywood, and what women have to like sacrifice in order to be seen as desirable in Hollywood, in the entertainment industry. I thought it was really great. I think the close-up scenes were amazing. It felt like so like in your face. I even some of the shots that were done felt like those commercials you would see of really hot and attractive people be just really hot and attractive, but it was intentional. And even the body horror at the end, because I'm not a gore girl, I'm not a gore or a body horror girl, but if there is intention behind the gore and the body horror, I'm probably going to be okay with watching it. Definitely loved how the body horror towards the end of the movie told a lot about like this character and her desperation to maintain relevancy through her beauty standards. Love that. So yes, great movie. Definitely recommend it. Probably gonna watch it again. Probably gonna be in my list of top weird girl horror films. I have to say that my favorite horror movie so far, if I had to pick, definitely Midsummer is first. Um, the Substance, Jennifer's Body, Lisa Frankenstein, Nosferatu, and the miniseries Swarm are all my favorite horror movies. All like very weirdo type of movies that I'm very into. So definitely recommend. 10 out of 10. Please go watch it. I think you can rent it for $5.99 on Amazon Prime. But if you don't want to rent it, just get it from Mubi. Don't give Bezos your money. I definitely enjoyed The Substance and its messages. The portrayal was creatively extreme, and am sure it pleased the intended. Yes, yeah, I agree. I enjoyed it too, and like I said, I really like weirdo movies that make a strong commentary on womanhood and like girlhood, and how hard it can be and how difficult it can be. Especially, let me look up and see if this movie was written by, or who it was directed by. Who directed The Substance? Okay, so yeah, a woman directed The Substance. Okay, we need more women in horror movies. Okay, like there's not a lot of dudes in horror movies who really understand, like when they make a horror movie about a woman, there's not a lot of dudes who really understand like what they're trying to say about like the woman experience when making these movies. And how can you, you're not really a woman, right? So yeah, Corley Fargy, yeah, I hope I said her name right. Yeah, very, very good job. She did an excellent job with this movie. Very well done. Oh, I didn't know she directed this movie or this show. Okay, that's cool. But yeah, we need more women directing horror movies. Like Swarm, for instance, was co-directed with Janine Neighbors and Donald Glover, and like you can tell, like okay, Swarm is about the Stan serial unaliver serial killer who like kills anybody who unalives anybody who comes for her fave. And I guess in this universe is Beyonce, right? You can clearly tell the episodes that were directed by Donald Glover or written by Donald Glover versus the episodes that were probably written and directed by Janine Neighbors. That, in my opinion, right? Like, I don't know. We just need more women in horror movies and more women directing them, because I think they have so much to say about like the woman experience and the expectations, which is why this movie felt so refreshing to me. So yes, please go watch The Substance. I co-signed it. Cole co-signs it. Even the ending, which was like weird AF and very like unhinged, and like kind of off kilt from like the whole entire extent of the movie, I'd still recommend that you go see it regardless, or watch it regardless. So, speaking of which, Him is coming out next Friday. Yeah, Him is coming out next Friday, guys. I'm not gonna have money to watch that movie. I'd like to see that movie, but we'll see. We'll see. But anyway, moving on. Okay, so personal things going on in my life. I have deleted TikTok, guys. I had to. I had to cut the cord. I had to let TikTok go. So now, unfortunately, I won't be able to let y'all know when I am live streaming on my TikTok stories. Like, I just can't do it because TikTok has gotten too toxic. I go through cycles of having TikTok on my phone, and taking it off of my phone, and having it on my phone again, then taking it off, and like flip-flopping back and forth. I have finally cut the cord for now. Hopefully it'll be for a while. I just can't do it anymore with TikTok, and I'm trying to wean myself off of social media. I don't have a lot of social media on my phone right now. I just have like Pinterest and Tumblr. And I have Tumblr so I can look at my spicy arcane X reader fan fiction. So don't judge me, but like that's what Tumblr is there for. And then I have Pinterest to look at like fashion influences, and that's it. And I honestly would much rather keep it this way. These social media apps are in the business of keeping you on their platforms. They're not really in the business of like keeping your mental well-being in mind. And so anything that can garner some sort of emotion from you, whether it's happiness, sadness, laughter, anger, anything, they are going to do their best to try to keep you on there. And I think when social media keeps like when there's a topic that trends and really circulates, especially on a platform like TikTok, and like person after person after person after person keeps yapping about it, right? Nothing wrong with yapping. I love a yapper. I'm on here yapping with y'all. I think the problem, what happens is that it gets to a point. It gets to a point and it gets very exhausting. And I think that's what happened with me, where there's only so many times I can hear about how Mariah the Scientist is a pick me because she's sitting in the background laughing, hee hee ha ha, about how her mans is in jail talking shit about Glorilla. Like, there's only so many like think pieces I can take. We already know Mariah the Scientist isn't talented. Why are we giving her the time of day? There's only so many think pieces I can handle about like Love Island and Olandria before I'm just like, why don't you just leave that gal alone? She's pretty, she's cute, she's getting brand deals. Leave her alone. Please, like there's only so much I could take. Especially when I was like on Queer Talk. When I was on Queer Talk, girl, they were stressing me out. I had to go. Because when they started saying that, like, you could always tell a woman is like, a little by her voice, I was just like, what does that even mean? What does that even mean? Stop. Like, I had to go. Especially during Pride Month. It was intense because it was like the lesbians and the bisexuals were getting into it. Which, again, my opinion about like bisexuals encroaching on spaces that they don't need to be in is still like firm. I think that if you're the one with more of the privilege and there is a marginalized group who is like, this isn't for you, I think you should just be okay with that as the person with the privilege, right? But then people were talking about biphobia and all this other nonsense, and I'm just over here like, girl, we don't have time to do this during Pride Month, okay? People are getting unalived. All right, rights are being taken away. Okay, everybody just make out with each other and it'll be okay. Yeah, but uh yeah, I had to get rid of TikTok, girl. It was too much. It was stressing me out. TikTok was stressing me out, y'all. It was stressing me out. And I also didn't know that I could take off the notification to let people know that I viewed their profile. Ah. Cause I would view, like, sometimes I would look at my friends' messages and then accidentally click on their profile, and then sometimes I would just be looking at people's profiles because I'm nosy, okay? And that's weird. So there's this one girl, she's my natural hair crush, and I would look at her profile all the time because I just loved how healthy her hair looked. Her hair kind of has the same hair texture as mine, and it's at the length that I want my hair to be. And I would just like look at her profile all the time, and I'm pretty sure it said Exista says future profile like how many times? I didn't know I could get rid of that. Either way, I just got rid of TikTok, girl. It's too much. It's getting too toxic, especially for the stuff that's been coming out lately. Like girl, I can't do it. I can't do it anymore. And honestly, I highly suggest that a lot of y'all start detoxing from these platforms because they do not have your best interests at heart. Have I learned a lot from platforms like TikTok when it comes to knowing about the world around me, or just simple things like knowing how to put on my makeup? Sure, yeah, of course. Or like what my body type is, or like what a deep autumn is versus a dark winter, and how it like applies to my like skin complexion. Of course, but like also, is it a hub for rants and complaints that do nothing but garner emotions of anger from you? Yes. I also think, especially going back to what I've talked about, like on social media, about like, you know, black women in the social media space, and how there has been a constant effort to antagonize and demoralize us, right? It starts with platforms like TikTok. Yet again, I didn't even like look at the video, but I just heard like talks of some black dude from the UK talk about why he doesn't like black women for the upteenth time. And girl, the way I just be tired. The way I just be tired. And you know, there was a girl reacting to it. She was a black woman and she was crying and stuff. And I felt so bad because I was like, girl, like this is what they want. They want you upset and angry and stressed because they know that if they keep beating down on girls like us, on women like us, that we're going to react to it. I am opting out. I don't want to be a part of it. I think I'm gonna keep TikTok on my PC, and I'll like scour through TikTok to find like trending topics to discuss. But girl, I can't have it on my phone. I'll spend like 2-3 hours scrolling, listening to the person talk about the same topic, about the same dude who's saying why he prefers a certain type of woman over me. Like I just don't have the time. I don't have the bandwidth. I don't have the energy. I don't. And you shouldn't have the bandwidth or the energy either, because they're at this point they're just trolling. They know that they know that if they attack us, we're gonna respond, right? And then we're going to crash out, and that's what they want. And I don't have time. I don't have spoons to crash out anymore. I'm tired, bro. I'm tired. The theme of this deck is I'm tired, okay? Like I do not have time to sit here and listen to the umpteenth person talk about why they don't prefer dating me. I'm good. I probably am not even attracted to you to begin with, all right? I'm good, okay? And that's another piece of advice. Anytime like a dude says that they don't prefer like your type or your like race of woman or whatever, right? Like wherever race you come from, whatever you look like, right? Ask yourself this. Would you want to date that dude to begin with? Would you even want to date a dude who has like a preference like that? Because normally I notice dudes who have like preferences that are rooted in like self-hatred are like the worst type of people to be around. So like ask yourself that question before we crash out about why some random cat in the UK doesn't want to date girls that look like us, okay? Like, let's chill. All right. So, okay, moving on. Arcane season 2. This was on my mind because I was talking with one of my homies about Arcane, and we were talking about how like I was asking him his thoughts. Now, Arcane came out like a couple years back, right? Like last year, I think. No, hold on. Let me do my research. That's not right. Because when did I start lusting after Savika? I'm not interested. November 8, 2024. That clears. Yes. Okay, so yeah, it did actually come out last year, but like the tail end of last year, right? And so we got Rhea Ripley coded Vi, and we got Isha, and then we had Savika with the weird haircut. That's my wife. I would risk it all for that woman, okay? I would risk it all for that woman. Yeah, she got like a weird Bobbiana, I guess. Okay, anyway. I asked my friend like his thoughts on Arcane season 2, how he felt about it, if he thought it was good, just the whole gambit of like his thoughts, because a lot of the people in our friend group hadn't watched Arcane yet, so we couldn't have like a collective discussion, right? Because I noticed some things about season 2 that just did not happen in season 1. Season 1 was phenomenal. And for those of y'all who don't know what Arcane is, it's the series inspired by the video game League of Legends. They would not be getting a season 3 because from what I hear, the whole point of the series was to get more people to play the video game. And unfortunately, people just watched the series and were really big fans of the series, but they wouldn't play the video game League of Legends. And I honestly, I'm not gonna lie to y'all. Okay, League is a lot. League is a lot. I've played it a few times. There's a lot of character. There's a lot of champions. There's a lot of fucking champions. A lot of them. I don't even remember. I think the last time I played for real was when Tom Kench came out, and that was like in like 2016, right? And then I would like scoop in every now and then. There's just a lot of them niggas, okay? A lot of them. All right. So you got a lot of characters. You got a lot of tools that you got to buy in order to do certain things with these characters. And then the game itself can go anywhere between like 40 minutes to like an hour. It depends on how froggy you are in each lane. That game is a lot, okay? That game is a lot. I might get back into it again if they come out when they come out with their fighting game. I also hear that Runeterra is a better, like, well, not better, but it's like a card game for Arcane. It's like a card game and it's fun. So maybe I'll get into Runeterra. I don't know, girl. But what I do know is that season 1 of Arcane was phenomenal. Okay? And season 1 looked promising. Season 2 of Arcane we gotta wrap this up by this season because we're not getting to season 3. Season 2 was rushed. Season 2 wasn't its best. It wasn't awful, but it wasn't like season 1. And I felt like it was a little bit of a disappointment for me because if you want to talk about peak quality adult animation, how to do it right, season 1 Arcane, hands down, is always going to have it. How to write good characters, how to write good plot, how to tell a strong story, not just like with dialogue, but like visually. Arcane season 1, hands down. Arcane season 2, I don't know what the fuck happened. I don't know what the hell happened. We lost our way. Okay, we lost our way. Things were rushed. I felt like they were squeezing in a lot of things. I didn't even know that Mel, the only reason why Mel had superpowers was so that she could be in the League of Legends game itself. That was news to me. The relationship with Isha was sad. Like how, the people in Piltover, Jinx and Savika, like, bonded with Isha, and then she was gone, well, spoilers, but like something happens to Isha. That was sad, but it just felt like things were going way faster than they needed to. And it felt like like, for example, I still don't know what happened with Jason Victor and the whole hex code, and like how like that was a whole subplot of like the hex um tech like controlling the people. I think it could have done well with like an extra 2 episodes at the very least, and at the most maybe like an extra season, right? Because there was a lot of things that were open ended. There were a lot of things that weren't wrapped up. I don't even remember how Ambessa was, spoilers, like no longer with us. Like I don't know how that happened exactly, like how they defeated Ambessa. There was just a lot of plots that needed to be wrapped up at least within like a season or two, like an extra season or two. Like a healthy 4 seasons would have done well for Arcane. But unfortunately, the ratings didn't do that good, or it didn't feel feasible, I guess, to keep this series going on if it wasn't going to funnel people to the game. So it is what it is. But I really feel like the LOL universe has to understand and respect that there are different fans who get into the franchises for different reasons. Not everyone want to sit up there with them 500 characters, play a 40-minute to an hour long game. Okay, with all these characters and buy all this equipment, and like not everybody wants to do that. Okay, some people just want to get into the League of Legends universe with the shows, and there should be fans for that. Maybe they like the KDA songs. There's fans for that, right? Maybe they like Runeterra, fans for that. And this new fighting game that's coming up that looks promising, there's room for that. But like, I wish they didn't cancel this series. I wish they could have came back. Maybe they'll do a spin-off. I do like the Melvika fan art. The fan art of Mel and Savika, that is the dream right there. Like I love that fan art, okay? And I love that ship. That's my favorite ship. All right, I'm up in there like swimwear with all those fanfics, those Melvika fanfics, girl. I'm up in there like swimwear, okay? But yeah, it's just a disappointment, honestly. Because, and you know, maybe it's a matter of Arcane being a victim of their own success. Because how do you top such a well done season without getting the proper budget and time needed? You know what I mean? Which also brings me into like this trend I've seen with like really good critically acclaimed shows having a really strong season 1 and then falling all the way off in season 2, which makes you wonder, should they have just had 1 season, or if anything, at least more seasons to wrap up what they needed? A good example of this is like Euphoria, right? I forgot who directed Euphoria, girl. All I remember is how awful Euphoria season 2 sucked, and how I started paying attention to how like some shows will start off really, really strong and then will fall all the way apart. Euphoria season 2, I believe the creator of Euphoria in America, his name, I forgot his name. Sam Levinson, okay. Euphoria season 2 was awful. It was dookie butter. It was trash. I've mentioned this before. Like, we were all the way there with season 1. Even the bridge episodes with Zendaya, and Jules, forgot her name, but those Ruined Jules, those were really good episodes, just to like tie us over during the pandemic when everything was shut down. Great episodes to lead us into season 2, and then we get to season 2 and it's just horrendous, and I don't like it. Wasn't even like Arcane bad, because even season 2 of Arcane is not nearly as awful as some of the other series that I've seen out. It's just like a disappointment from like season 1. I still think that with what they were given, they did the best that they could. But with like Euphoria season 2, what I noticed is like a lack in quality. Like you could tell that there was a writer's team in season 1. There was a writer's team for the bridge episodes, or like somebody who had intention when writing those bridge episodes with Ruined Jules. And then season 2 rolls around and it's just ass. And it's just Sam Levinson with his ego. And I guess he had other obligations because he was writing for The Idol as well. And The Idol was awful. And Lily Rose Depp was in The Idol too. And Lily Rose Depp isn't a bad actress. So, like, that wasn't a good use of your Lily Rose Depp, right? So, like, what are we doing? What's going on? Like, I don't know. just am apprehensive. I think when it comes to like making a good show, right? I think maybe Euphoria could have been wrapped up in one season with a couple of bridge episodes to showcase like where each character is up to. And then for Arcane, at the very least, with the popularity it had on Netflix, they should have at least had 2 more seasons. I don't know. I feel like the second season can really make or break a series for whether or not it's going to be quality and worth everybody's time. And if you cannot give a good enough incentive for people to continue watching the show after season 2, it could really make or break your series. Like, Euphoria is coming up, and I know everyone's probably going to keep talking about it. I'm going to talk about it, right? But, like, I am not really... First of all, Angus Cloud is no longer with us. Rest in peace, King, right? But I'm not really, like, looking forward to it because, first of all, everybody's grown now. Everybody's adults, right? And then, second of all, like, if Sam Levinson's writing it, I know it's going to be awful because he's not a good writer. He just has a bunch of, like, cool scenes and concepts and then thinks that can be just as strong as, like, a quality plot. And that is not the case. Sometimes you need to have a good plot. Sometimes plot alone, sometimes dialogue can make a really good season or make a really good series. Shows like Succession and Mad Men have great dialogue. They don't have all this extra fluff, visual effects, dramatic scenes, all of that. It's just folks talking. And those are critically acclaimed shows. I love me a show driven just by dialogue where people have to pay attention to what these people are saying and what they aren't saying and the character development of all of them. Sometimes a show can be good just with that. You know what I mean? But I don't know. I just wish that Arcane had at least 1 or 2 more seasons to wrap up everything that needed to be told about the League of Legends universe. And then I also wish that Euphoria had better writers for season 2 or just wrapped everything up in season 1. So, but yeah, season 2 can really like change the landscape of a show. Or even like with Game of Thrones in the very end of like season 7, we were with Game of Thrones from like seasons 1 through like 6, right? How many seasons did Game of Thrones have? Yeah, we were with them from season... No. There was 8 seasons? Girl, I guess there was 8 seasons. No, they needed at least 1 more season. We were with them from season 1 through 7. Okay? We were with them from season 1 through 7. Alright, and then season 8, girl, these last few episodes, a mess. A whole mess. A whole mess. A whole mess. And just torture porn. Like, why do we gotta do all this? Like, yeah. And now when we look back at Game of Thrones, all we can remember is how awful season 8 was. How we were edged from season 1 through 7, and then the climax was just not rewarding at all. Anyway, moving on. Consistency. Jade came out with her album. Jade Thirlwall from Little Mix. Let's talk about Little Mix real quick, okay? Let me pull up Little Mix, alright? Because I gotta have a conversation. Okay, this is Little Mix, okay? And they were like the UK's Fifth Harmony, but better. Like, very, like, much, like, just put together. Very good singing. All of them sang well, okay? Nobody had to be the dancer of the group. All of them danced well, and all of them were just on it. Like a girl group needs to be in sync, in unison, in character. You know what I mean? And then when you look at like Fifth Harmony, Hold on, let me see if I can find some clips of Fifth Harmony. Not in like Fifth Harmony was all over the place, girl. They had bops, but they were just all over the place. Like they just did not know how to be in sync with each other. And that was always the joke, is that like they all just could not be in sync. Um, with each other. Like they all could not keep up with the choreography together. They were all in their own little world. It just felt like there wasn't a lot of artisan development for Fifth Harmony. Let's take a look. You see this? Like girl, what? Girl, what? Like the footwork is a mess. Look at, oh my god. Girl, like they look a hot mess. They were never in sync. Whereas like Little Mix was always in sync, girl. They always were on it. They were always on beat. They always sounded like they were harmonious. Like they were just that girl. They were the better girl group, and I really wish they would have broken through into mainstream America, because I think we would have appreciated them. I guess a part of me just wasn't really a fan of the type of music. It seemed too I don't know, too like I felt like it was done before in America, kind of like K-pop, but like that's okay. Because I got back into their music later on and I actually liked them. Also, something that frustrated me is that both Jessie, Leanne, and Perry all look the same to me. They all look like sisters, and I couldn't tell between either of them. And then I had no idea Jessie was a whole white woman. No one told me Jessie Nelson was a white woman. I was out here thinking at least the gal was like some sort of like mestizo or like Hispanic. No, girl. Jessie over here a whole Caucasian, out here blackfishing. And that was a whole thing. That was a whole thing, right? And so I just remember Jessie Nelson. I remember Leigh-Anne calling it out. And then Jessie also gave birth to twins. Good for Jessie. Good for Jessie. And then I didn't know much about Jade Thirlwall until she dropped Angels of My Dreams, and that song was pretty dope. But what really caught me was the song Fantasy. That song was it. That song was it. That song was that girl. I would listen to that song on repeat 24/7 last year. That was like the palate cleanser of the day every time I was stressed out. She came out with this album, and then she came out with a visual album, all of which were very good, were very fun. All the songs were very awesome too. And I like Jade. I'm a fan of Jade. I wish I enjoyed her during her Little Mix time, but I didn't. But I would definitely recommend y'all give Jade's new album, that Showbiz Baby, a listen. It's very introspective. It really talks about like her journey in the music industry, in relationships, and just like how desperate she is in trying to make it. I also think that like the whole weird girl thing that she did in this album, that y'all desperately want to see Addison Rae, like you want to pin on Addison, right? I think she does that much better. Like the whole like quirky, weird girl aesthetic. Like, and the reason why it works more for Jade, and I can take Jade's like aesthetic a lot more seriously than I can take Addison's, is because she's had years of like artist and development and of like lore with Little Mix and her experience like working in the music industry to actually have like a conversation or actually have something to say about it, right? Like I said, it's very very hard for me to take Addison Rae's like pop star rebrand seriously when I just saw you doing the Renegade some 5 years ago, and that was the extent of your fame, is you doing the Renegade, right? It's a lot easier for me to see someone like Jade from Little Mix have like this very quirky, like weird girl type of aesthetic if she's pulling from like her personal experiences of being in the music industry, being in a girl group, talking about how exploitative it is, which is what she does in her album, and incorporating it in a way where it's like fun, catchy pop tunes for us to enjoy. That makes more sense. Plus, Jade can sing very well. All those women on Little Mix could sing it phenomenally, right? But Jade especially could sing incredibly well. She was a very talented singer. So definitely recommend that you guys go give that Showbiz Baby a listen. It's very, very good. And I know I didn't add her here, but I just want to talk about her really quickly because her album's coming out. Midnight Sun. Okay, Zara Larsson. Let's all support Zara Larsson, okay? Because I feel like I feel like this is how you pop diva, right? I'm gonna make a promise to myself to stop supporting like half-assed artists, okay? There's some girls that I have to understand that I should really only be into them for the vibes and like the performance value and the talent, and that's it, right? So like Doja Cat kind of falls in that category for me. Like, she's not really a singer for me. She's more of like she's stronger at rapping, but she can make a really good pop hit, so I'm gonna keep listening to her. I would say same with Doechii a little bit too, even though she's more so hip hop. But then I also would look at like an artist like Sabrina Carpenter and like her vocal. Like, I don't think her vocals are that strong, but she can put on a good performance. You know what I mean? But like outside of that, like I don't think I'm really gonna be out here supporting mediocrity anymore. Like, if you can't hold a note and you can't sing well, and you can't sing well, you can't hold a note, and you're not entertaining on stage, then I don't know what you want me to do with you, really. Anyway, moving on. So I'm not well versed in world news, but Nepal is going through it, rightfully so, because the government has been trashed by the protests, because people are tired of the inequalities that are happening in Nepal. Honestly, good for them. That's what happens. From what I understand, over there's like a severe like wealth gap. Yeah, in India there's a very severe wealth gap. Like, it's hella classist over there. So honestly, this is the byproduct of what happens when people have been suffering for way too long and they are not being heard. And I'm here for it. I don't know. Oh no, my YouTube is skipping. They're listening, but no, I'm gonna be real. I'm here for it. Like, let it burn, I guess. Like, this is what happens when you don't treat people fairly. Oh my god, my YouTube is stopping again. They don't like that I'm talking about this. But this is what happens. When you mess with people's free speech, when you mess with people's money, and inequalities, this is what happens. So, hopefully the people protesting are safe. Hopefully people who were caught in the fire, who didn't really have anything to do with what was going on with the protests, are safe as well. But hey, this is probably going to happen more often, unfortunately, right? Like, people are at their wits' end. People are tired. People are exhausted. The idea of security around the world is like withered away. We also know too much because of the internet and being able to connect to each other. So, which leads me to my next point. okay, which is like the topic of discussion, really. But I wanted to wait till now to talk about it because, um, one, I want to be careful with my word choices because I hear people who feel a certain way about what happened to this man, have been receiving threats, and I really don't have time. I don't have bandwidth or the spoons to receive threats, girl. I'm tired. Um, but here's what I will say: Charlie Kirk is no longer with us. He is no longer in the land of the living. He was assassinated. Apparently, his assassination was filmed on on Twitter. Like they posted it on Twitter, I guess. Which I don't know. I'm not gonna look at it, right? I never looked at the full video of George Floyd losing his life. I'm not gonna look at the full video of Charlie Kirk losing his life. People have been very divided because Charlie Kirk has been known to the right for being a conservative talking head, a conservative like political figure who had a podcast, who was very like pro gun, who was very pro anti-immigration, very pro gun laws, very, you know, conservative values and all of that. He would go on Jubilee and I guess debate leftists and did not debate well. And I guess from what I've seen from clips of Charlie Kirk, it seemed like he was a dude who would just shout things into the ether that his party would want to hear instead of offering a valid explanation as to why he would feel that way. Vosh ate him up a couple years back. I remember watching him and Vosh go at it. Vosh ate him up during the debate. They don't call him debate bros for no reason. Vosh ate him up, right? Because someone like a Charlie Kirk, and something that I noticed about the right is somewhat like they look for people to hype up emotions and lead in getting your emotions riled up. It doesn't seem like there's a lot of logic that goes behind what they're saying, right? It's a lot of conspiracy theories and thoughts and opinions and telling people what they want to hear to make them feel good without actually unpacking the why. This man over here, I guess, said that he wouldn't want to get on a plane with a black pilot because he thinks it's DEI. And almost poetically, or creepily poetic, is that he was the one who also mentioned in his, campaigns that in order to protect the First Amendment, hold on one second. In order to protect the Second Amendment, excuse me, right? He was the one that said in order to protect the Second Amendment that he's completely okay with some people losing their lives in order to protect the rights of the Second Amendment. He said that with his whole chest, and now we're here. Okay, here's something that I'm not a fan of, all right? So here's something that I won't do, okay? I'm not going to sit up here and celebrate anybody who's no longer in the land of the living. That's just not my thing. That's just not what I'm a fan of. I don't like celebrating, like, and when I say celebrating the unaliving of somebody, I don't mean like in a funeral homegoing service, you celebrate their life. No. I mean like actually celebrating the fact that they are like not here with us. When Osama bin Laden was unalived by the American government, I didn't feel comfortable celebrating that at all. When Kevin Samuels was no longer with us, I did not feel comfortable celebrating that. When this man was no longer with us, right? Charlie Kirk is no longer with us. I'm not going to celebrate his unaliving, okay? But what I will say is that, you know, when you, I'm a firm believer in karma, okay? Like, I know, woo-woo, X is coming, but karma, I'm definitely believe in. And what the energy that you put out, okay, sometimes the energy you get back, all right? So with that in mind, in this case, it felt like an instance of you live by the sword, you die by the sword. You're saying, unfortunately, a lot of people are going to have to lose a few lives are going to have to be lost in the name of protecting the Second Amendment rights. And now you're not here with us. Be careful the words that you speak out into the ether, okay? Because they could come back in some of the most gut wrenching ways. I feel bad for the people who viewed his unaliving, who were there, who witnessed that. That's traumatizing. I feel bad for his kids, you know. Um, but I'm gonna step away from this as to whether or not, and not keep talking about whether or not I'm happy that he's no longer with us or not. Like, that's not my biggest concern. My biggest concern is what happens after this. Okay, let me cook. What I mean is, we are already in a very polarizing state in America right now where everybody is so divided on so many things. It's like every time I wake up, it's literal chaos. Men and women don't like each other. Like they are at like horrendous divides, more and more hetero pessimistic at the moment. None of us are like getting along. And honestly, I don't blame us for not doing that. Like, there's a lot of toxicity that came from online dating, unfortunately, and there's a lot of toxicity that comes from, you know, trying to hold on to a way of life that is no longer benefiting you. I'm talking about patriarchy, right? That men, Gen Z men, are like trying to hold on to. Meanwhile, a lot of y'all don't even make enough. Like, I'm just being honest, a lot of y'all don't even make enough to support your own self, let alone a family, right? So there's that. And then you also have like the division between races. You got a bunch of white people who feel empowered to talk, not a bunch of white people, well, a good chunk of white people who feel empowered to talk how they want to about minorities, who feel perfectly okay with putting immigrants in cages and all of that. And the white people who aren't okay with this aren't really stepping up in the way that they need to, right? And then politically, we have seen this stark divide between conservatives and Democrats, and not even conservatives and Democrats. We've seen a stark divide between conservatives, Democrats, and leftists. Because now, to my knowledge, I mean, it's always been a thing, leftists no longer align with Democrats, especially with their viewpoints on the war and how they feel about the war with Israel. So, and that's fair. You know, leftists have every right to feel that way. I feel the same way as well. Democrats are more central, and they will always be centralists. And then Republicans have been fully consumed by hyper conservative folks. And so everything is just so divided when it comes to gender and sex, when it comes to race, when it comes to political parties. Everybody is so divided. Nobody can come together. And what I've said this before, what I have noticed about America is that the core problem, the core issue that everyone seems to get along with and agree with about America is that at its core, I never believed that America had a race problem, a gender problem, or a political division problem as much as they've always had a class issue. I am of the firm belief that the main disease in America is classism. We have a class problem. And the symptoms of that are sexism, racism, political division, any division where it needs to sprout up. That's the symptom of classism. And what I do worry with his unaliving, that this is going to spark up more violence because of how this has been treated. I know a certain side is honoring him like he was the white Martin Luther King girl. He was not. Like, in my opinion, he was not. Okay, maybe he spoke to that side, but like, no. Okay. But already people are talking about fighting and, you know, finding justice for Charlie Kirk and putting it into their own hands if the government isn't going to do so themselves. So they found the unaliver. I have some wackadoodle conspiracy theories about the unaliver or the person who assassinated Charlie Kirk, but I'm not gonna. I really am not gonna get into it now. I just think that there are ploys. I think there are ploys, and I think this is a tool to keep us even more divided amongst each other. When if you really peel back the layers of all the isms that we're dealing with, I think almost all of us can agree that the amount of hoarding of wealth from a specific demographic of people, the top 0.0001%, is not helping any of us, right? And that all of this infighting that we're doing amongst each other, some of it warranted, but for the most part, like people getting comfortable with being like outright racist, like no, like we got to separate ourselves from them. But for the most part, there needs to be less division and more acknowledgement of what is actually going on. I feel like the media is manipulating a lot of us. Again, getting in my woo-woo bag right now, but I feel like the media is manipulating a lot of this because ever since Charlie Kirk was assassinated, there have been unaliving threats sent to HBCUs, right? Based off of this, about how they're going to unalive people in HBCUs and I think, was it NYU also had to like send a note and say, hey, like we're gonna shut down school for today. Don't go outside. Don't do anything until this is all squared away, right? Until security is ensured, right? I just feel like we need to understand like what's going on here, because the person who unalived Charlie Kirk wasn't a person of color, wasn't a queer person, wasn't a trans person. It was a white guy that unalived Kirk. It was also a white guy that unalived Trump, right? So and then there was another white guy that unalived that health insurance guy, Luigi Maggioni, right? But that didn't seem, I don't know, that didn't seem like a anyway. So if we know that to be true at this point, what exactly are we mad at? Where exactly are we finding this justice, right? I don't think this is like a grand old ploy for like the left to like humble the right. Like I don't think that's what it is, but like this divisiveness that is going on is terrifying. I worry that it won't stop at, I'm not like worried for like the conservatives and Charlie Kirk, but I'm like worried that it won't stop at Charlie Kirk. I worry that like this is going to be a common thing with people who voice their opinion on politics that don't go with what needs to be said or that a certain side doesn't approve of. I worry about like the Bernie Sanders and the AOCs in the world and like what happens to them if this occurs. God forbid it doesn't. I worry about even like, you know, video essayists that are trying to educate people on like how policies and politics work as well. I just am worried and concerned about these things. And more importantly, I am worried and concerned about the citizens in America and how divided everything is. This isn't, mark my words, this isn't a kumbaya, come together, let's mourn the loss of some dude who wouldn't even piss on us if we were on fire. No, this isn't what that is. This is, I am tired of the narratives being pushed to so far of a certain spectrum, end of a spectrum, to the point where we're throwing away common sense. And this has been happening ever since 2016. Like, this has been a common thing since Trump was first in office. It's almost like Kuth has been like out the window for God knows how long, in hopes of finding a leader that people can fall in love with and obsess and fawn over. But this said leader, Trump, isn't doing nearly half of the things that you thought this man was going to do for you. And then when he doesn't, we blame, oh, well, it's the Democrat. No, it wasn't. Like, they're all working together and they're all trying to keep you distracted from the fact that they're going to keep hoarding and doing whatever they need to, and then feed whatever they need to towards you to keep you angry, upset, and frustrated, so much to the point where you feel like you need to take violence into your own hands. When it's like, what are you mad at? Like, respectively, the Republicans have won, right? Like they have won the Senate, they have won the culture wars. Everything is going their way for Republicans. Like, shit is about to get real when motherfuckers are on clothing commercials talking about good genes and eugenics. Like, y'all have won, okay? What is the problem? What this is the doing of y'all. Like, we are in this situation because of what y'all voted for, right? And things still haven't gotten better. So who are you mad at exactly? When are you going to acknowledge that there are bigger powers at play that are in the business of keeping you angry, upset, and frustrated to distract you about what the real issues are? Like, when is that going to happen? Thoughts and prayers to Charlie Kirk, I guess. And again, you live by the sword, you die by the sword. And that's all I have for that. Like I said, I'm concerned with how this is going to heighten people, individuals, political, how this is just going to heighten politics in general. Because it feels like they want us to go in the direction of a civil war or something Civil War adjacent. And I just don't want that. I just want everybody to wake up and realize that, like, there are bigger issues at play. Like, there's a bigger structure at play. Like, both the Republicans and the Democrats do not have your best interests at heart. Republicans lied to you. If you're a conservative, you should feel stupid right now. They lied to you. They lied to you about all the promises. Look how they're handling the Epstein files. I think Marjorie Taylor Greene is the only one who's stepping in to, like, figure out evidence of the Epstein files, and Lord only knows how long that will last. Like, they played in your face, and you took the bait, and now we're here, and now we're angry and frustrated at all the wrong things, and now this happened, and I don't see it getting better, unfortunately. I see this really starting a whole slew of issues and problems, a whole slew of hatred towards marginalized people, even though the person who unalived this guy, and most of the people who have attempted to unalive political figures or people in power are all white men. So I don't know, like, at one point, are you going to stop being mad at the world, and at what point are you going to start acknowledging? At what point are you going to stop being mad at the opposing side or the people that you disagree with or the people who don't live like you? And at one point, are you going to start addressing, like, the bigger issue of who's in power, who's in control, and how they are navigating that power? Okay? You know what I mean? Like, unemployment is at an all-time low. They've let go a ton of people. I've heard that, white guys are getting employed again, but I don't know, girl. If unemployment's at an all-time low, maybe y'all aren't. I don't know, but unemployment. Yeah. Okay. It's at a slight decrease for white men too. So, like, girl, like, listen. Just, I don't know. Wake up. Keep your head on a swivel too. I don't know what it's gonna mean after this happens. I have some theories, but I'm not gonna get into them now because I don't want to sound like a conspiracy theorist. Well, we'll just have to wait and see how this unfolds. But like I said, thoughts and prayers, live by the sword, die by the sword. Be careful about the words that you say. They have a way of manifesting. Okay. And I hope everybody who was at the event are healthy and okay and are able to cope well after this, because seeing someone, like, lose their life is traumatizing. And that's all I got. And so I'm gonna close off this deck by saying, y'all, I'm really tired. Like, I'm actually tired, and I'm not just, like, tired, like, physically. I'm also just tired in general. There's a lot of stuff that has been going on in the world, and it has made me feel very uncomfortable and very unstable. First and foremost, apparently the unemployment rate is like super super low. Like nobody is able to find work, nobody is able to find jobs, um, and I don't know what that means for us in the future. um, I think the housing market is about to crash soon, so maybe people can buy cheaper houses, but for the most part I can't I just can't do it anymore, guys. It's just a lot. Like, part of the reason why I got rid of TikTok is because it's just exhausting hearing about things constantly happen back and forth, and then being like, okay, did this actually happen? Was this actually a thing? Or was this just like, was this just like a story that somebody came up with on TikTok and kind of ran with? There's a lot of like rage baiting content out there that's in the business of keeping you angry. It's not in the business of making you think or making you, reflect on certain things that are going on in your life. Um, it seems like there is just division in all aspects. The internet is no longer fun anymore, right? Like, at one point, the internet used to be a really fun place. It used to be a place where y'all could convene and talk and interact with each other and talk and post quirky little pictures of your friends. Maybe you look at your favorite influencer and go about your day, right? And then somewhere towards the end, into I want to say into 2020, when we were all at home, it slowly but surely got more exhausting. I'd say for me personally, it started with the George Floyd, and this isn't to say like I'm anti-BLM, no, but it was just very traumatizing to see a bunch of people post the unaliving of George Floyd, and it was everywhere. And as a Black American witnessing that, it was terrifying to just see. Like I said, to this day, I still haven't seen the whole entire video, and I won't. But it was just terrifying to see people constantly post this police officer put his neck on this man. And then following up with that, we see Ahmaud Arbery lose his life. Then the protests happened. And then now we're in this, like, it's like I blink and I see, like, we're doing this aggressive, like, hyper-conservative rebrand. And just to see how nefarious it was, because it didn't start out with, you need to be thinking more conservatively. It was a very slow burn of like encroaching itself into different aspects of subculture. You're just trying to learn how to clean your ass cheeks, and now all of a sudden you're talking about how you need a high value 6-figure fintech bro to take care of your soft wife, traditional wife lifestyle. Like, girl, like, how did we get here? You know what I mean? We're over here having like, genuine conversations about like, okay, promiscuity. Should you do it? Should you not? Why? And then it automatically ends with anybody who does any form of promiscuity or gives it away too soon or anything is a hoe and a slut, and we shouldn't do that. We're out here doing like women empowerment rebrand, like a rebranded version of feminism in the name of the choice feminism that happened a decade or so ago, in hopes of counteracting the sexism that women go through, not realizing that we are just as bad as the sexists that shit on women all the time. Because what do you mean you're mad that a girl likes to get her hair pulled and is on her knees during in an album cover, of all things, an album cover? Like, what do you mean? Like, this is the hill you decide to die on, right? What do you mean that you're angry and upset because, I don't know, someone likes to get their hair pulled? Like, it should have never been this serious, girl. Like, all this male gaze, female gaze, girl's girl, not a girl's girl, pick me, not a pick me. Like, at the end of the day, like, we gotta we gotta get back to what is actually important and what the real issues are. I think the biggest issue that we have is there is a class divide, right? There's a class division that hasn't been addressed, and the wealth gap is getting wider and wider. And while you're over here trying to deliberate whether or not someone's a girl's girl or a pick me or a for the female gaze or for the male gaze, and while you're over here, guys, worried about what a high value woman is and who can be wiped up, you know, the divide is getting wider and wider. No one's able to buy a house. No one's able to sustain themselves with a career anymore, with college anymore, with work without working like 5 or 10 jobs. Health insurance is probably not going to be non-existent in the next decade or so. Like, we have to really prioritize the things that we want to worry about. You know what I mean? And it shouldn't just be. It shouldn't just be random hot talking points on what we think, how we think the world should be and how we should be perceived, I guess. I don't know, girl. At the end of the day, people are gonna people. Things seem like they're only gonna get worse. So try to build community in the best way that you can. Be safe out there too, because it's getting real. And you know, anyone who's at an HBCU, if they're telling you to stay indoors, like don't go to school or don't go outside because there's threats, please do that. Because it like, just that alone baffles me. Like, how are you going to send threats to an HBCU, bro? When the people who have been attempting to unalive the folks on a certain side don't even look like us, have unalived and have attempted to unalive and who have successfully unalived. They don't look like us. They look like y'all. Like, what do you like? What, like, at this point, it's like, what are you mad at exactly? What, like, any anger that you have should be at the people that gave you false promises of what they guaranteed would happen when they got in office. Like, y'all started clutching your pearls when the Epstein files were being thrown out. Like, y'all should have saw that from a long shot. Like, and that it's just like critical thinking skills are like all out the window. Like, if you see Trump in cahoots, like with pictures, in pictures with Epstein, like, what is the logic that y'all think that he wasn't co-signing a lot of the behaviors that Epstein was doing, and that he wouldn't defend Epstein at the end of the day? Like, how do you get to that? Like, he wasn't going to be a crusader for the Epstein files. He's a part of that. He's a part of that life. That wasn't gonna happen. I don't know. Anyway, that's all I got, guys. Yeah, I gotta go to bed. I would say just protect your peace and be careful out there. People are crazy. Be careful with your mental though, because that could really F you up. Like, detox any way you need to. Read more. Read fun books. You don't have to read like educational, you know, research topic books. Like, I'm over here reading fiction and comics, girl, and I'm having the time of my life. Just protect your energy. Like I've said before, if you're a Black woman especially, please protect your energy, because they are in the business of riling us up because they know that we're going to keep talking about it. They like, it's like clockwork. Like, I can almost predict in the next month or so, another dude, whether he's Black, Asian, Hispanic, I don't care, come out, talk about how he ate Black girls. A Black woman's gonna come on TikTok and be like, that's the problem with y'all. Why don't you just leave us alone? Why do you hate us so much? Da, 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 da. That's all a ploy to keep us angry, because they know we're gonna respond. Like, meanwhile, the dude looks like a whole thumb, so you wouldn't even want to date him anyway. Like, you know what I mean? So just like, just protect your peace. Protect your peace. So, however that looks like to you, pick up hobbies, detox from social media if you have to, and I will see you guys next week. Okay. Hopefully next week won't be as crazy. Hopefully, but one can never guarantee. Maybe it'll be more music focused because I didn't talk about a lot of music this time. Maybe, maybe not. We'll see. But yeah, you guys have been awesome. Thank you so much for tuning in. And I will see you next Saturday. Bye, guys.